Clint Cosgrove, Rivals.com, back with another edition of From the Film Room, where we choose a player each week. We break down their physical and athletic skill set, and then head to the film to show you exactly why they are a special player. This week, we'll be talking about our number 4 overall all-purpose back in the nation, 4-star Wisconsin running back commit, Darrion Dupree out of Mount Carmel High School in Chicago, Illinois. So let's start with the physical profile. And he's in that 5'11 range. He might look a little slight at first glance, but that's because he doesn't have an ounce of fat on him. He's actually put on some really great weight over the past year. And he's pretty rocked up. He's in that 190-pound range, and he has a frame to add plenty of weight once he develops in a college program. As far as his production goes, he's extremely productive. There was one game that I was at this season where he played for a quarter, had, couple hundred all-purpose yards, and I believe 3 touchdowns, and then was done for the game. But over 9 games, he had 71 carries for 664 yards and 10 touchdowns. That's a 10.4 yards per carry clip with a long of 72 yards, showing he is capable of hitting the home run. He also had 23 receptions for 348 yards, 8 touchdowns, a long of 50. This kid lines up everywhere. He can line up in the backfield. He can line up in the pistol. He can line up as an up back. He'll split out. He'll get in bunch formations. He'll be in the slot. You'll see him line up at the X sometimes. So very versatile and really an all-purpose back in every sense of the word. His athletic skill set, he's a guy who runs under his pads. He's got an incredible burst. His balance is unreal, and he can cut on a dime. Now, he is a very slippery and powerful runner, really hard to wrap up. Now, he's not necessarily the bruiser type where he's just going to take it to you and run you over, but he rarely goes down on first contact. There are some times when you're watching the film and you're wondering how he hasn't been taken down. Very Houdini-like, almost like an escape artist, and you're going to see that on film. He's a patient runner. He's got great vision. And like I kind of discussed earlier, elite receiving skills for a back. He has every bit of talent. He could be a 4-star, maybe 5-star receiver type. If he were to play receiver, he's actually really good at defensive back. I thought as a youngster, that might be where his highest upside was. But he is the definition of an all-purpose back with the ability to be a difference maker in the return game as well. So without further ado, let's turn on the film and show you why Darrion Dupree's a special player. All right, so we go to this first play, and I chose this because it shows his patience as a runner, vision as a runner, his ability to move laterally with precision, elite cutting ability, and then that slipperiness while never going down on first contact. And then you get to see how he is always keeping his feet moving. A number of things I talked about in the introduction of his skill set. But when we run the play, you're going to see here, basically, he's getting almost an 8-man box with those overhang defenders that are keying the run there. So as you start it, you see him go up there. Now, a lot of young running backs, they would just kind of, when they get this penetration, they would see it as a dead play. They're gonna no one to hold them, no one to fold them, and they're gonna kind of run to darkness, take what they can get, and fold their chips. But not Darrion. What he's doing is he is keying everything in front of him, and that is great vision. So he's able to take the handoff, read the blocks, read the defenders, see what's in front of him, and instead of running to darkness, he has the patience not to force it. Okay. So then when you look at it, he gets that lateral step on first contact, and there's little pause in his movement. That is not a normal trait. That is very hard to do. All right. And then he sees that outside defender, sticks his foot in the ground with a nice cut to get lateral. And then you see that elite balance to get knocked when you're off balance like he was there and keep those feet churning, staying upright. Goes on to get broken tackles, big gain. Really, the body control, this is a beautiful play. He took something that should have been a tackle for loss. He used his skill set, his cutting ability, his balance, his churning of his legs, his powerful running style, and it basically takes an army to get him down. But that should have been a dead play. Instead goes for a big play, and that is why I chose play number 1. Now, all right, now when we run play number 2, this is just a good example of his overall versatility. and his ability as an all-purpose back. You're going to see a lot of the same things that we saw in the first play. His balance, it is not exactly a dry field here. You can tell that it's slippery, but just how naturally he catches the ball. So this is just a regular swing pass. Takes a little route, catches the ball with his hands, little wasted motion, gets his foot upfield, makes the first guy miss. And even though he's slipping, he somehow manages to stay upright. And this is a trait that you're going to see over and over. The balance is incredible. The body control is incredible. And that is something that cannot be overstated, especially for an all-purpose back. So he's slippery in the open field, dynamic, makes guys miss, keeps his balance, is able to cut one way, then another. And somehow, even amongst all of that, as he finishes the play, he's not going to let that first defender take him down. He lowers his shoulder, delivers a blow, and keeps going. So, not a 90-yard play, not a game breaker, but a great example of his versatility, his all-purpose back skill set, and just how naturally he catches the ball, sees the field, gets upfield, and how dynamic he is with the ball in his hands. Now, on this third play, he pretty much goes untouched, but what I want you to see here is just the natural burst. And when he sees a hole, he's going to hit it. And then he has the speed to finish the play. For those who played Madden back in the day, this is almost looks like that Engage 8 blitz that you're either getting a tackle for a loss or it was going to be a throw over the top. But they do a great job scheming it up. You end up with a box that has almost everybody in the field. So all Darrion needs to do is see the hole, hit it, and then make sure he can outrun the defense. And that is exactly what he does. So you see his stride in the open field, very effortless. He's got the speed to take it the distance. And, a lot of this is attributed to the schematics of the play, the blocking of his teammates, and really the way the defense played it. But what I wanted you to see and what I wanted to stress is he does have that big time burst. And when he sees a hole, he'll hit it. And then he's got the speed to finish for the touchdown. Now, this next play, this is against a very good defense, one of the best teams in Illinois, a very well-coached team that is known for their defensive play in Loyola Academy. And I chose this play. Now, it's a lot more of the same, but this is against some high caliber talent here. And what you see here is it almost ends up like a 9-man box. You got two corners on an island. The safeties are keying down on the run as soon as they see it and trigger. And then you got the backers in pursuit as well, defensive line holding it. But what you see here is there is a whole lot of traffic at that line. A lot of players have trouble discerning where to go in that situation. What Darrion does is he uses his fantastic vision and his ability to stop and get to full speed in a couple steps. And he sees a crease. And what he does is he hits that crease. He eludes a defender. He keeps his balance like we've seen over and over again, breaks a tackle. And we would have loved to see him go the distance here. But the thing you have to love is this play was either a dead play or maybe he was given, 3 or 4 yards. He takes everything that he wants on this play. All right. And then, like I said, you'd like to see him go the distance, but at the same time, at the end of the play, he is not down. And that is one thing you love about Darrion. Those feet are always churning. He's always looking for extra work. And even when he gets pushed out of bounds, he is throwing the defender over his shoulder. Just another great example of his all-around skill set. Really no weakness in this game that we can see so far. And that is against good competition. Now we're going to go to the next play. And this might look, just like run-of-the-mill. This is kind of given to him. But I want to stress here is where he's lined up. You'll see him line up everywhere on the field. He is split out at the X here. He is basically by himself. One thing that a player like him does is, as a defensive coordinator, you are making your calls versus the offense's personnel groupings. Okay. So when you're breaking down the film, you have to decide certain players. Do you label them as a receiver? Do you label them as a tight end? Do you label them as a running back? A guy like Darrion, you really don't know what to label him as because he can come out as a receiver one play He can come up as an up back or H back one play, and then he can line up in the backfield as well. So he kind of limits you call wise on defense. So that is besides the point right here. But it appears that there's a little confusion. He wasn't accounted for. I think that they do have somebody who was supposed to be over the top here, but he lines up at the X, just a straight go route, great speed off the line, and then you love the way he tracks the ball in the air to make the catch. Yes, he wasn't covered, but that is not a routine catch. He tracks the ball in the air. You love his speed, you love his stride, you love his ball skills, and that is uncommon for the typical running back. So there you have it. That is my breakdown of In the Film Room with Wisconsin commit Darrion Dupree. Now, one of my favorite parts of doing In the Film Room is the NFL comp. And I did some research on this one, watched some high school highlights, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say that my NFL comp for Darrion Dupree is none other than Kareem Hunt, who has been nothing short of dynamic in the NFL. I encourage you to turn on Hunt's high school film. You're going to see a lot of the same traits. And I'd even go as far to say that Dupree looks a little further ahead of him at the same age. And at the same time, he's probably a little more fluid in the hips. And there you have it. Darrion Dupree from the film room. Wisconsin is getting a good one indeed.